Yeah. Any outrageous costumes at your party?
Like the KKK kid that caused a stir in Virginia, or the marathon.
Marathon broad.
The bombed marathon victim.
Someone sent me a video of her, like in the shower. Is that real?
Her giant tits.
That's real, huh?
Her big soapy tits.
Who's giant?
This girl that got in trouble because she dressed as a bombing victim from the marathon, the Boston Marathon.
Enough with people getting mad at the fucking costumes.
And she got fucking like, her parents are getting threats, and she gets fired from her job. And
she got fired?
Yeah, it's like it's astounding. These people are fucking assholes.
Yep.
If she wants to go to a party dressed like that, and even wants to post it on her fucking Instagram, whatever, who cares? You could be offended by it, but that's where it ends.
Tasteless Halloween costumes are a part of Halloween. They've been a part of Halloween forever.
For a long time.
Now everyone's all pissed off. Look at those big soapy tits.
Big areolas, too. She's juicy.
Got a sleeve on her left arm, too.
Oh, yeah, she got a lot of tats.
That really is her?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
It's amazing that people get mad and offended and want to punish you for what a bunch of
They had
cunts.
her parents were getting death threats.
Of course.
And her family, her employer, everything. They're trying to get every bit of information they can. And for what? Because she dressed tasteless in a tasteless costume. Who cares?
With a Trayvon girl. It's like, who gives a fuck? It's Halloween. People dress tastelessly. Christopher Reeve's injury was tasteless. People dress like it. Like you said, dead John Bonet. People do that on Halloween.
Yeah. And there was that girl that was in between the guy that was dressed like Trayvon and the guy that was dressed like Zimmerman. And she's just dressed like some leprechaun little thing.
Right.
In between both of them. Kind of, with her arms around the two guys. She gets fired. Guilt by association by Instagram. It has nothing to do with it.
That's the world we live in, though.
It's a fucking disgusting display of phony outrage and these powerless people that finally get an opportunity to exercise a little power over someone, and they use it like they wield it like fucking Hitler would. Yeah. People are disgusting. Who cares if she's dressed in a fucking costume like that?
It doesn't mean anything.
Gives a shit.
It's irrelevant.
Means nothing. And everybody that's bitching, I'm sure you've done something or posted some picture that would piss somebody off. It really is just terrible.
Yeah, it's fuck. But that's the free thinking country.
Oh
we live
yeah,
in.
free progressive thinkers.
Yeah, real progressive country.
Fuck that.
There's a penalty for doing a joke on Halloween.
Yeah.
You fucking cunts. That should be the penalty?
Losing your job and fucking, that should be the penalty for offending you? It's terrible.
Used to have the right to be offended in America. Remember?
Yeah, whatever happened.
Remember those days?
I'm a little upset. Oh, sorry about that. That's it. Too bad.
It's the right to offend, really. You used to have the right to offend, and the people that were offended had to fucking deal with it.
Right.
Because there's nothing that says that you can't be offended. So fucking just relax.
You're right. The right to be offended.
Dunces.
To offend. But no tasteless costumes at your house?
I'm trying to think. I don't think so.
And what the hell was up with the KKK kid?
Yeah, that kid in Virginia, I guess his mom, he asked his mom if he could dress as the KKK kid from the
I guess the mom just hates her kid, right?
No, her mom seemed a little fucking...
But to send him out like that...
She's like, you're going to get into some problems, so... if you want to, you can. It's some kind of tradition, I guess. Some of the
Can you imagine?
He's adorable. He's a little KKK kid.
How old?
I don't know. He's like...
You got video of this?
Yeah, he's 7.
7?
7.
That's when the mother's a bit of a stupid cunt.
The mother is really kind of off.
Yeah,
I mean, she's a little off.
You're just getting your kid into situations that don't need to happen.
It's not even a KKK outfit that you could pass off as like a ghost because the big red insignia.
Of course. Oh, he went all in.
A KKK outfit. And, of course, the news has to send the black woman reporter there to do the story.
Right.
And she talks with the kid and the mother. And, the mom is not very smart.
New at 11, Halloween is over, but the controversy surrounding a costume is continuing after a Craigsville boy dressed as a member of the Ku Klux Klan.
Cool, you fucking dummy.
Lisa Gale met with the mother of that boy who wanted to clear the air. John, I also met with Jackson Black, who is wearing this costume that you see here. This picture was posted to our Facebook page by a viewer. It stirred up a lot of controversial comments that we have since removed. A word of caution, this story may be hard for children to watch.
Why?
The unbelievable tradition is
How is this hard to watch?
And I watched this waiting for the part that might be hard to watch. It's not. There's nothing in this.
Of course.
I don't know. Let her rip.
creating a stir in the town of Craigsville.
My brother has when he was in kindergarten and when he was 13.
That's why when Jessica Black's 7-year-old son asked if he could also dress as a member of the white supremacist group, the Ku Klux Klan, she made the costume for him.
Because it was cool.
What was cool about it?
The hat.
I did tell him that, you know, if you do it, you know there's going to be people talking about you. There's going to be people that say bad things to you when you do wear it.
Neighbors say this is one of several streets Brook Hollow.
This is a news story.
I know. It's
How the fuck is this a news
in the middle
story?
of bumfuck Virginia.
Gives a shit.
I do love, though, that the grown woman is saying, I explained to the 7-year-old that there were bigger consequences to this, and he seemed okay with
He
that.
seemed fine with it. I took his word. Yeah, this is not a news story.
No,
this
it's
is stupid.
Mother's
Road that
dumb,
Jackson
fat
was
twat.
seen trick-or-treating. They say they were shocked when they saw his costume.
I just think it's really sad, like that a kid is being taught that young, because they don't know any better. You don't hear that much about it nowadays.
When I asked Jackson Black where he had learned of the costume, he said he saw it in the movie Fried Green Tomatoes. His mom maintains there is nothing wrong with the costume or the Ku Klux Klan, which she says still exists in Craigsville.
It's supposed to be white with white, black with black, man and with woman, and all of that. That's what the KKK stands for. The KKK every year raises money to donate to the St. Jude's.
Will you still wear the costume?
Yes. It's not okay. You're offending a lot of people by one little action.
Jessica Black says she has received several threats via Facebook because of this photo of Jackson that was posted on our Facebook page. It was clear after speaking with Jackson Black that he is too young to understand race. His mother says she would allow her son to dress as a Ku Klux Klan member again, even if he asked. And she says growing up, when her siblings wore the costume, no one made a big deal out of it.
I bet.
Yeah.
Before, Instagram.
Whatever.
It's all social media that's bringing this to the forefront, because all of these costumes, all of these things that are said, and the costumes that offend people, they were all out there. This isn't some new fucking thing. But now people can jump on it and be, But
it's also like areas where a 7-year-old would dress as a KKK member.
Right.
A lot of people aren't offended by the KKK.
Exactly.
So once you unleash that onto the world, they're like, what the fuck is going on?
It was all very regional.
Yeah.
I'm sure they had a pisser with him in his little KKK outfit.
And everyone's just a few clicks away from going viral.
Yeah.
That used to be just a Polaroid. Look what my kid did this Halloween.
Yeah. Well,
Pass
I'm
it around
sure
that way a little bit, you know.
I'm sure her siblings that wore it when they were in kindergarten and at 13 years old, that she spoke about, there's pictures of them, but it was before social media, so they just did it. I'm sure some neighbors were offended, and it ended. That was it.
Well, the hat was cool.
The hat was cool.
Yeah.
But now you need some type of solution, some type of end game, an apology, a firing, a public flogging, a tar and feathering, whatever the fuck people expect, some type of ending to these things. They want a solution.
Yeah. But it's crazy that these are all the anti-bullying people that are just so hungry to bully somebody.
They love it.
That the minute they get one of those excuses to do it,
they jump on.
They'll ruin a life.
And the dumb fucking Boston Marathon wounded runner woman. Yeah. She fucking had a picture of her license up in an earlier post from maybe months or maybe even years ago. Oops. And they found that, so they got her address, and boy, once they get info, they do love bullying.
Oh, yeah, but they all say it's because, well, she shouldn't have. How about just, again, more dishonesty from people? Yeah. I like to fucking jump on somebody when I see something happening. Yeah. That's all it is.
People love to bully. The only reason there is bullying is because people like to bully. They like jumping on the pile. it's just a new phenomenon. I don't know how we deal with it in the way it should be dealt with, which is not acknowledging some of these dolts that get offended. Why do we have to bend over backwards to not offend anybody? Nonetheless, like it's a very small group of people. It's never a lot of people.
No.
And so what? You're offended. So the fuck what that you're offended?
Absolutely.
Who gives a shit? Why do you need an apology or something?
It's unbelievable. It's almost. It's so tiring at this point.
Getting fired from work. For
Right.
Getting fired from your job for doing something off of work, by the way.
Right.
That's
not illegal.
That supposedly offends somebody.
Remember, it's not illegal.
It's not illegal at all. As a matter of fact, it's protected by the laws of the land. And it gets you thrown out of your fucking job.
If you don't defend people's right to say things you don't like, I really mean this. You're a shit American.
You're an asshole.
You're an absolute dog shit American.
A shitty American that doesn't even understand the most basic concepts of the laws and rights of this country. You don't get it. You're too fucking stupid to even understand something like the Constitution and the Bill of Rights of this country.
And selfish. Even if they get it, they're just selfish. Hitchens did a great speech. I think it was in Toronto.
I wouldn't want to hear it, and he shouldn't be able to say it.
I 100% agree. That's what I was going to say. Lucky for him, he's dead because I was hunting him. He raised great points about free speech and how when you stop someone from saying something, you're also robbing yourself of the right to hear it.
Yeah.
And it was and he was shaming them for something. They had about hate speech. It was something along the lines of how hate speech is being banned, and he was saying that something about it was wrong because the things that really have the hate speech, like the Bibles and the Korans, are protected.
Those are so protected.
Like anti-homosexual speech is very banned. Oh, it's rude and it's terrible, and you can't do it in a college. Try banning a Bible from college, which is where all gay hate speech comes from. The fucking Bible.
That's true.
It's allowed. It was brilliant speech. So look up Hitchens on free speech. It's just people they're so fucking self-righteous when it comes to this.
You're right, and your freedom to practice religion and the freedom to have the Bible and not have it censored from what it was, that is no more protected than anyone's basic right to free speech.
Right.
It's the same thing. So why is it that when you say something that's deemed hate speech, but the same stuff is in these religious books, like the Bible and the Quran, why don't you get the same latitude?
Absolutely.
To say it without these repercussions? And it is astounding how dumb fucking people are.
Well, and they're afraid, by the way, to criticize religion. They're afraid to criticize Catholicism,
of course,
or whatever. How come no one's fired for that?
Yeah.
If you're quoting the Bible on Instagram or like on a video, you'd never get fired. Quote the Quran about homosexuals or the Bible or whatever, the Torah. Never would they fire you, and the outrage and the backlash from religious people would be astounding. They'd come right after any job that fired you. He's quoting the Bible and you're firing him?
All you have to do is put the Bible says and then put some horrific anti-gay thing. If you put I think and then you put the same exact thing, you'd get fucked for the I believe, I think, as opposed to the Bible says.
Absolutely.
Go to Boston. Brian, what's up?
Yo, what's going on, guys?
Hey, buddy.
So, check this. Obviously, I'm in 100% agreement with y'all that girl, whatever the hell she wants to say, if she wants to be a dumbass, let her be a dumbass. But the people that she works for, everybody knows that she was stupid, and whether or not it's right to offend the people, she offended a lot of people. Shouldn't it be the right of the owners of her company to say, you don't want somebody that stupid working for us?
Technically, yes, but that's what we're trying to fight here. I guess they do. I guess they do have that right, but they're hurting all of us by doing that.
So I guess if you're in an interracial relationship and you offend a lot of people, let's just say you're in an interracial relationship and you post pictures on Instagram.
Right.
That offends, whether we like it or not. That offends a lot of people. Doesn't bother me. That bothers a good piece of our country.
Yep.
So should your boss be allowed to fire you? Or if you're in a gay relationship and you and your partner are holding hands, should your boss be allowed to fire you because you're doing something very offensive and posting it?
The problem is whether or not we as people think that you should be able to do that or not, the foundations on which this country was founded yes, you should be allowed to do that. I agree. It's abhorrent.
So wait, you should be allowed to fire someone for posting pictures if they're whatever, if they're gay or if they're interracial, you should be able to fire them for that. You think that's what this country was built on?
No.
Oh.
I don't think that.
Oh, sorry.
I don't think that that's what the country was built on. I think that the country was built on freedom in general, freedom to say what you want to say,
Right.
freedom to believe what you want to believe, and freedom to associate with whom you want to associate with. And if you want to associate with certain people, you have that right. And if you don't want to associate with certain people, you should have that right, as well.
Well, you shouldn't lose your job because of it.
You shouldn't lose your job.
I don't think you should lose your job over something that's not illegal.
This is also, it's the same as we look at.
It wasn't illegal behavior what she was doing.
Nothing was illegal about it.
But a lot of people hide behind the fact that businesses should have the right to fire these people, and we're here to say but that's just wrong.
They celebrate them getting fired.
Right.
They feel like they've accomplished something.
Right. I mean, there was a turn in our business when, we used to have to just worry. We've said this a million times, but it's worth repeating. Where we had to just worry about the FCC, and then all of a sudden we had to start worrying about what the advertisers thought of our radio show. It's like, what? We can get fired for doing something that is completely okay as far as the FCC goes. That's crazy.
See, nobody wants to say, I want you fired because you said something I didn't like. Because that's it's self-serving.
Right.
We don't like to admit that we're it's the lie that bothers me. So they hide behind, this is not, because you're not being arrested. Technically, corporations can fire. And I'm not mocking the guy who's calling. He's just saying what's been happening.
Oh, I know.
But the intent of free speech is not to say something publicly and be able to lose everything for it.
Yeah.
Do people out there really think that's the intent and the spirit behind free speech in our country and freedom of the press and freedom of expression and thought? It's not.
No, the consequence is supposed to be perhaps a lively debate,
right?
Especially when you're just defending somebody. You're not inciting a riot. You're not inciting people to hurt anyone else. You're just expressing yourself. The repercussions should be that somebody can debate you on that. Somebody can call you on it. Someone can call you an asshole about it.
Challenge you on your thoughts. Right.
It should not be that even though this corporation, and I understand they have this kind of right, it's sort of a loophole workaround to not having freedom of speech.
Right.
And by the way, we're all the scumbags out there threatening this girl for her Boston bomber outfit. I wonder if they were threatening Rolling Stone for putting the real bomber on the cover.
Here you go.
I wonder if maybe they were. I don't know.
I don't know.
But people, man, it comes
freedom of speech in this country is becoming a real joke.
People don't like what you say.
Right.
They want you to get in trouble for it. That's it.
And another thing people don't understand, rights are rarely directly taken away by the government. Like there's this government entity comes and takes your rights. That even the dumbest of Americans would turn around and go, "Hey, they're not supposed to do that." Right. It's always done very underhandedly and sneakily. And the way it's being done now is through your livelihood, if I may use that word that everyone hates. Your ability to live your life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness gets taken away from you for what you say or believe or dress as or whatever. I could give a shit if a private company has the ability to fire you because you offended people. I guess they do. Sure, they've done it before. But that is not the spirit of free speech, the having that huge consequence because some people are offended. Well, it's ridiculous.
Well, here's Mike in Connecticut. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I agree with the guy that called in that we certainly have the right of association. As a Jewish business owner, if one of my employees got all crazy and made all kinds of anti-Semitic remarks, I have the right not to associate with that person. I don't believe that person should suffer at the hands of the rest of society, but they're sure as hell not going to be working for me anymore, and I got the freedom to get rid of them.
Well, you're right there. But don't you think there's some type of, volume knob on offending people and also hate?
Well, hold on. But that's an extreme case. Let me ask you, if someone came to your workplace dressed as a Boston Marathon bombing victim, would you fire that person?
No, because that person doesn't offend me and is not someone that I choose not to associate with.
Okay, but you're saying basically that you have the right to not want to be around that person, and if it's your business, but you don't necessarily have that right when you're hiring, do you? Can you say you only want to hire whites?
No.
Okay, why not? If you only want to be around whites, why can't you say that?
Okay, point taken. Interesting point.
Yes,
I mean,
it
it's
is.
not that I wouldn't understand why an owner doesn't want to be around somebody who's anti-Semitic, and I really understand that. But doesn't it all matter how that person performs at work? Because once you start breaking down stuff like that, then you're getting into like, okay, say the anti-Semitic stuff seems too harsh and too, okay. What about just gay relationships? What about, I keep saying interracial.
Right, yeah.
Because to us, these are normal things that are not shocking and upsetting. But to a lot of people, an interracial or a gay relationship is a fucking anti-Bible offense.
Yes.
And, why is that so protected, as it should be, and other stuff not?
Well, I think it comes down to expressing your own individual freedom, whether it's me as the business owner or whether it's the employee that wants to express anti-Semitic remarks. The individual is the one that's responsible for protecting their own liberties. I don't need somebody telling me, as a Jewish business owner, that if one of my employees makes an anti-Semitic joke, I should fire the asshole.
Right.
That's my decision to make, and I'm not going to be making someone else perform or take out actions on somebody because I think it's offensive. That person should lose their job.
Well, how about this, sir? You get an email from somebody. Now, this employee is picture perfect. Never said anything that would lead you to believe he's anti-Semitic. But you get an email from somebody that says, "Hey, by the way, one of your employees, this guy, told me an anti-Semitic joke, and you should fire him." And then you fire him. Like, that's what's happening.
No,
it's this mob pitchfork and torch mentality that's going on.
Yeah, I disagree with that completely. I get that email from somebody. I have a choice to make. Okay, what kind of an employee is this? Do I believe this email? Do I just ask the employee, hey, who the fuck is this that's sending me this email about you? I have the freedom and
some Jew.
But let me ask you, isn't there a difference between you acting as a business owner and an employer and an individual? Because as a business owner and an employer, there are, I guess, certain things you have to look at, of course, but aren't there certain feelings you have to put aside? In the sense of you can't allow certain personal prejudices or certain, like if you didn't want to hire Muslims, you're not allowed to do that legally almost.
Oh, no, Jimmy, it happens every day. I hear anti-Semitic jokes. I hear people making anti-gay jokes. And I make the decision. Okay, this is just somebody making a decision.
Because he's listening to the show.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, why wouldn't?
No, I'm not going to lose my shit and fire somebody because they make the occasional joke that I disagree with. I make fucking jokes that people disagree with. I get that. But the point is, if the person takes it far enough that it does offend me and it's somebody I don't want to associate with, I have the freedom to disassociate myself from them.
I don't fully disagree with you.
I don't know what the law is there.
I think the problem is, though, the line is so, people getting fired for far less stuff than what you're talking about.
Anti-Semitism.
Right.
And it's the mob mentality that dictates this. It drives
I think that's what's scary.
The firings.
Right.
It's not one person in a cubicle going to the boss and saying, hey, fucking Peterson over there, he was saying this. It's this, no one even knows who these people are. No one knows anything about them. They see a post online and they just send a shitload of crap into their employer. It's 1984. It's witch hunting. It's
like McCarthyism.
It's dangerous. It's McCarthyism.
Yeah.
You're blackballing people. It's terrible. Anyone that thinks that's good in any way, shape, or form is a fucking moron.
Let's go to Matt, who wants in on this with Mike. Matt, you're on with Mike from Connecticut.
Hey, I just want to say that with my employer right now, we have a rule. If I say anything like on Facebook or publicly, and in any way, shape, or form, my company is associated with me at the moment, whether I'm wearing my name badge or their name's on my Facebook or something, I could be fired for that because me as an employee reflects that business directly. So I feel like if a business wants to, fire someone for a misrepresentation of their own business, I think that's okay. So, like with the anti-Semitism.
Okay, but what is a misrepresentation? Meaning, that's where you get into a very dicey area, because what if it's obvious, the Boston bomber, the Trayvon, they're tasteless. But what if it's something that offends people on a much deeper a personal level? What if you're in a relationship that they don't approve of?
Right.
What if all of a sudden you embrace communism? I don't particularly like that, but what if you do it? What if you switch and become a Muslim and you switch to Islam? Do they then have the right to claim the same offense and fire you?
Yeah, but how about the case where the company is a fundraising organization for Jewish charities, and one of their employees is found online to be voicing anti-Semitic sentiment? Of course the guy's going to lose his job, because he does adversely affect and adversely reflect the company.
Is he? If he's a Muslim and it's part of his religion to put down Judaism and Israel?
I don't know about that. I don't know if just because somebody has a personal view, and I know we're more public now than we were hundreds of years ago, and we can reach more people, but I don't know if you should be allowed to be fired for that. And there's always extreme examples. But I don't know how much of that should be fireable. It's not fair to fire people because they're saying shit you don't agree with.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like with the public, if you're in a job that works with the public, the public is your public, So if
but the public never gives a shit.
Yeah, I know.
It's never the public that cares. It's a few people that want to exercise this fake power. Well, it's real power now, but they're getting people fired,
and it's too scary to speak up.
Yeah,
if you're the one going, what? You fired the Boston bombing broad because you wore that costume?
Now you're the next guy that's getting fucking fired,
and everyone knows that,
getting death threats.
So it makes it tough to speak up.
Yeah.
So you just allow this to go on in front of your eyes and not say much about it.
Well, I think that anybody that's going to take the action to fire someone because of what that person does or expresses or whatever needs to have the balls to say, look, this guy offended me personally, and I don't want to associate with this guy. The mob mentality that stinks, and the cowardice of hiding behind Facebook postings and screen names and so on. I hate that. If you're going to express your freedom, you better have the balls to do it.
And people just got to be smarter out there because they know this is the culture we live in now.
Yeah, but it's going to take away from
well, unfortunately,
seeing things, hearing things.
But you're going to get fired for this stuff now.
That's what people are doing.
And until things change, you got to be a little more careful.
Or people need to finally fight it and vocalize how wrong it is to fight it.
I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Because I agree with this guy about use your real name. But then there's the side people have used their real names.
Yeah.
And they're getting fired.
They get fired. It's like, fuck that. I'd rather go anonymous and be able to voice whatever you want, get your opinions out there.
Here's what people want. Use your real name, but don't say anything that offends me.
Or I'm going to use that against you and have you fired and shunned and banished.
Not you necessarily. I don't mean you.
I don't think people want to take retribution against somebody just because you've offended me. We want to have the freedom to take retribution against those people. But people offend me every day.
But why do we want to take retribution? Why?
The freedom of association, Jimmy. I don't want to deal with some asshole in my company that is so against what I believe and what I stand for. And it's my choice. It's my company. Now, if I was an employee, fellow employee, and I heard that this guy was making anti-Semitic postings, would I go running to personnel? No, absolutely not. Because he's just another guy in the company. I'm going to disassociate myself from that guy. I'm not going to invite him to my parties or any shit like that. That's my choice.
Okay.
But I'm not going to be the cowardly mob mentality type that's going to go running to personnel. Hey, on his Facebook posting, he made a Jew joke. I'm not going to do that.
So how far into your personal offense does it go? Like you said, you don't want to be around someone that doesn't agree with what you say or that offends or doesn't like what you, whatever. How far does that go? How many, if he's anti-Semitic and he's a Klan member, okay, that's an extreme example. How many steps does that go?
I don't know. It's a choice that I have to make dependent upon the situation. He could be a fucking funny guy that I like hanging around with, even though the guy's a rank anti-Semite.
So is that all the employer's response? Is that all the employer has to do? Satisfy? Someone has to be kind of enjoyable to be around?
Yeah, that's the beauty of having your own company. You can fucking fire whoever you want to.
But don't you have to kind of adhere to the same hiring practices as other companies to a certain degree?
I cannot discriminate in my hiring practices, but I can certainly have a policy that says I don't want anybody working here.
You could pretty much fire someone for anything now.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to discriminate in the hiring process at all.
But so, okay, but you can fire somebody if you realize that they're not a person that you like.
I understand this guy's point.
I do
mean, if he's a
too.
Jewish business owner, he doesn't want anti-Semitic things being said around him.
I know that.
I get it.
But is it affecting the business? Is it affecting how he does his job for you? That's a big question.
I mean, we're not unreasonable. I get that part of this, but I don't get the, you wear an offensive Halloween costume, which, like we've said, has been going on forever, and you get fired for that. That's where I just don't get it.
And again, the direct...
What happens there, what's wrong there is that somebody that is outside of the company calls in and puts pressure on the business owner and says, hey, this guy is fucking offensive to me.
That's
and
the point.
business owner caves. The business owner doesn't say, well, I don't have a problem with him. Yeah, it's tasteful, but he's a great employee. I'm keeping him. Fuck you.
And people panic way too soon. A lot of this stuff goes away really quickly, especially in this day and age. You get 2 or 3 days of people maybe calling up your business, and then they move on to something else.
Guys, I work in.
But people panic immediately, and I guess they start thinking that their whole business is going to collapse if they don't do something immediately.
No, it's not going to happen.
Of course not, but they don't understand that yet.
Well, people have to just chill the fuck out.
All right,
there you go. Chill the fuck out.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Mikey. Appreciate the calls. Let's. We got Wayne in Colorado. Wayne, anything you could add, or are you going to say the same shit?
Yellow.
We lost Wayne.
He didn't want to wait.
He says actions have consequences, which I guess we've been discussing.
Yeah,
so.
and we all know they have consequences, but freedom of thought and freedom of expression, as far as verbal and doing things like that, shouldn't have consequences like that. And that's the excuse people use. They have consequences. Okay, so in your own personal life, if you're saying that, do something that is very, very offensive to some religious group and let the consequences be that you get fired.
Your consequences.
Let's see if you fucking say the same thing.
Let me say hi to Scott in Wisconsin. Scott.
Yeah, Jimmy, I'm a little confused, man. So you're up in arms about this chick getting fired for offending people.
He's going to mention the Redskins.
But yet you want the Redskins to change their name?
This is how predictable. Dude, I didn't look at the thing. I just looked at Opie and Anthony and said, I knew what you were going to mention. That's how predictable people are. Here's my stance on the Redskins. First of all, I don't want them to be forced into doing it. And I have never once said, don't go to Redskin games. I have never once said, boycott the Redskins. Never once have I asked for a penalty to be put on the Redskins. I think the fact...
Because it offends a group of people.
Here's my stance on why I want them to change that, because I find the name to be offensive. Because I don't want people penalized for being offensive, it doesn't mean that I would say nothing in our country is offensive. I agree that there are certain things that are, certain things that aren't. And yes, the Redskins should have the right to keep that name. I have not asked for them to be penalized.
Getting a lot of pressure, though.
The problem I have is that the NFL, and all of them, they cave in to every special interest group. They're fucking cowards. And the only group...
They're standing up. Now they're standing up.
But they're standing up because they don't see... Because it's going to cost them, first of all, a lot of money. And they changed the Washington Bullets. Where was the outrage over that? Where was the outrage over that?
Yeah.
How come there was nobody crying about it when they changed the name from the Washington Bullets to the Wizards?
No, we were bitching
People
about
bitched
that.
about it, but it wasn't like this. I wish the Redskins had the same courage if somebody said faggot or fucking or nigger or dyke or any of those words in the dressing room or the locker room. If they stood up and said, "Hey, we don't like what he said,"
have they had one of those situations yet?
I don't know.
And if they have, how have they dealt with it? Because each team is different as far as what that shit goes.
Probably the same way that the Washington that radio station dealt with Dexter Manley. Go. Goodbye.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there was an actual incident.
Yeah, it's almost like my annoyance at this selective courage is the American Indians are the only fucking group that they have the balls to do this to teams. Yeah, but they wouldn't do it to blacks or to Jews or to Asians. If they would, I'd be fine with it. If every group was cartooned, I'm fine with it.
Well, what pisses off the Redskins owner, he didn't have the intention of getting one by us all.
Right.
He does not look at that as a bad thing, calling his team the Redskins.
Neither
he
did
wasn't sneaking one, through.
And neither did the Sambo people.
It was the Redskins forever, and no one ever had a real issue with it until recently for whatever reason because of the stupid culture we live in.
But dude, do you understand my stance? I'm not asking for them to be penalized, and that's why if the NFL and professional sports. Like that guy, I know he was an Eagle, but at the Kenny Chesney concert when he said, "I'm going to fight a nigger," it was a stupid thing to say. But the way football reacted, sensitivity training, oh my God.
Yeah, they lose their minds.
But do you see how they react? They're not fair about it. And that's what fucking annoys me so much.
Which I understand that, but it still doesn't make much sense, though, Jimmy, because...
How does it not make sense when I'm not asking for them to be penalized?
Yeah, it's apples and oranges.
They will be penalized if they change their name financially, yes or no?
I don't think they'll be penalized financially.
Jimmy's not asking for that.
And I'm not asking for a financial penalty. I didn't say people to hold on, dude.
There will be an adverse.
I don't say that I'm above ever being offended by something or that I don't like certain things. There's certain things people have said that offended me, but I don't want them to get in trouble for it. I don't want them to be forced to act a certain way. I want the Redskins to change their name, but I have not once said that people should boycott them until they do.
And that is the same thing as people clamoring for a woman to get fired and sending her death threats because she was offensive. Yeah, it's kind of different.
I'm not asking for a penalty. There's a huge difference, dude, in those things. You
can be offended. It's like somebody that says, "Oh, that fucking bitch that dressed up like the Boston Marathon bombing victim. Oh, that fucking bitch is an offensive twat. Fuck her."
Right.
But then you don't go on Twitter or your email and fire off letters to her boss or death threats to her family. You can be offended by it without trying to curtail her right to dress that way.
Yeah, I'm not offended by the costume.
So Jimmy, but Jimmy's saying he personally doesn't like the fact that the Redskins are named the Redskins based on what he has seen and thought. But he's not now starting a campaign to have them change their name.
I'm not trying to force them to do it.
That's the big difference.
Did you always hate the Redskins name, Jimmy?
I for years, I told you what changed me was when I saw people give this Indian group. I don't even know what group it was. Years ago,
they went, "Hi, yeah, we know like 'em name,"
and then it rained on me, and I'm like, you know what? But no, it was it might have been Donahue, or it was years ago.
It was years ago,
and they explained it, why they were bothered by it, and it made sense to me. And the thing is, like with being politically correct, I hate political correctness so much. I've almost fallen into the same trap that PC people have, where just because something's PC. I'm like, fuck it stinks. And it's like, that's irrational too. It's like, it doesn't mean that just because politically correct people think something, that I automatically, diametrically have to be opposed to it. This is just one of very, very, very few things I agree with them on.
Right.
And
I never once thought it was offensive.
Yeah.
Not a once.
But I get why, when I see the way they handle other groups.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me. It's almost like if you were fired for saying black jokes. It's almost like when the networks won't allow a white guy to do black jokes, but they allow the black guy. Now, I don't want to see the black guy get in trouble, but it annoys me that he's being allowed to do something, and the other guy, or this group can't do it, or that group can't do it. They're selective. There's not a blanket policy of just being, hey, look, fair about it. It's meted out arbitrarily, this punishment or these scoldings, and that's why they annoy me on whatever the outrage of the day is.
Right.
So how about you allow what is offensive to other cultures to somehow be a part of the NFL, and I will wear. Believe me, I'm not personally violated by the Redskins name.
Yeah.
Keep the fucking name. I'll wear a jersey, but have some fucking balls with other groups.
Well, the NFL's completely schizo anyway. They know their players are getting, brain injuries,
and they don't care.
They don't give a fuck. They paid them off recently, but that was a piece of cake for them.
So,
and then you got a guy that's quitting his team because of bullying in the NFL. Oof. This world we live in is crazy.
Bullying.
Does anyone know the story there?
The new outrage.
It just seems like there's more to the story than a guy that was on, what team does he play for? The Dolphins, right? Yeah. He plays for the Dolphins. He's been bullied to the point where he leaves the team, and he says he's not coming back.
What?
So what's the story there? Because that doesn't make sense to me.
Is he gay?
Is there gang shit involved here that we don't know about, or what? Is he associated with one gang and there are guys on the team that are another gang? Because it just doesn't make sense that an NFL player would leave a team because he's been bullied.
Yeah.
Have I explained myself to you, sir, by the way?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. But I agree with you on the fact of it just needs to be all around, the same treatment where people are picking and choosing.
Yeah, that's
the
right.
Redskins has had their name for frickin' umpteen how many years, and then now you're equating that to somebody saying nigger or this or that, but that's something that we've evolved and gotten better at. So I understand what you're saying, but to me it still seems a little wishy-washy where I'm going to pick this point because I don't like this, but this point I do like.
But what's wishy-washy? Hold on. What's washy about it when I'm not asking for anyone to be penalized? It doesn't mean
you're not speaking out against the press and the pressure and everything else also, though. So you're not doing nothing to stick up for their rights.
You don't have to do that.
I don't need to stick up for their right to do it. Of course they have the right to do it.
Sure.
And I'm not going to tell other people not to protest it. I don't care if they do. But they do have the right to have that name. I have not said they don't. I haven't said they should be financially fucking penalized for it.
All right. Yeah, well, all right, man.
You know what I mean? It's like, just because I'm not a PC guy doesn't mean I don't have opinions on certain things. There are certain things I don't like or that are I don't like certain things radical black guys say or radical Muslims. I don't want them to get in trouble for it.
All right. Thank you, Scott. We got to get. There's so many people checking in. We got Brian in Canada. Brian.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, man.
Hey, I'm just wondering if you guys would have the same opinion if you knew somebody personally in the Boston bombing, like the victim.
Hard to say, dude. I mean, emotionally, I would have the same overall opinion, yes, because I know people that have committed suicide, and I'm all for suicide costumes. I know people that have died of strokes, and if someone had a Patrice stroke costume, that would offend me on a personal level. I wouldn't like it, but I wouldn't want that person to be fired for it. I wouldn't, but I would again be bothered by it and go, fuck that person.
Well, having Boston roots, that costume made me go,
Yeah, I didn't like it, but
I don't want her fired for it.
But yes, sir, I probably would have the same opinion, honestly.
But do you think, like the guy that called in about the anti-Semite problem there, he's a Jewish. Wouldn't that be just as offensive as someone who knew somebody?
Yeah, you get somebody who knew, but it's not the majority of people. And of course, even if take it to the extreme, the person that knows the person that was injured is so offended by that they want them fired. Yes, they're being very emotional about it. I don't think the boss should put any credence in the fact that they're offended because they know somebody.
Wait, can I hold on? I want to go with your thought for a second and take it a little further. So you said if we knew someone that was in the Boston Marathon bombing, would we think differently? Okay. What about this? Where did this woman work? Do we know?
Boston. No, I have no idea.
All right. The question is simple. What if someone at her job was affected by the Boston Marathon bombing? Would that be a different situation?
I don't think so. No, I think it should be. Because she's not at work. If she goes to work with it, it's different. It's work conduct.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I wouldn't be like I don't know anybody who was killed in 9/11. But that doesn't mean I wasn't affected by 9/11. I don't care about. I care greatly about 9/11. It fucking changed my life, and like it did so many other people. It made me so angry and hateful. But if you had a Twin Tower costume, I wouldn't want you fired for it.
But what if you went up as a suicide bomber? Would you want him fired?
What's that?
What if you went dressed as Halloween as a suicide bomber, 6 months later?
No, I would think it was tasteless, but I wouldn't want like there was some professor who was a real cunt afterwards, and he was talking about how the people jumping out of the buildings were like little Eichmanns and all this stuff, and he was a scumbag. But I didn't want to see him fired. Emotionally, I think I did. But I knew that you have to have the right to say that.
And we sort of accept tasteless Halloween costumes because it's been going on our entire lives. You pick the big story and then you make a costume out of it.
Yeah. No, dude, I would not want them fired for that, even though on an emotional level, I probably wouldn't like it.
So a lawyer's saying we're missing a point.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian. Let's say to Rob, say hi to Rob in Jersey. Rob.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, Rob.
Hey there, Rob.
All right.
Here's my point. When we think of free speech in this country, we have this tendency to think of it in terms of some freestanding concept. It's not that. It's rooted in the Constitution, and the Constitution says the government can't limit our speech.
Yes.
But someone who is a business owner, or if I'm in my house and I have somebody over who's saying something that I don't like, I have every right to tell them to get lost.
Right.
Or if I'm a business owner, I have every right to say I'm not going to hire you.
Yes, you do.
Okay, so I guess let me ask you the question: if the spirit, even though I know legally, I'm sure you're right, but if the spirit of free speech isn't that, how far does it go? Like where you could, so let's say you stand up and you just say that you're now a communist or a member of the Communist Party, so you can just be fired for that? Or how about you agree with communism, or you agree, let's say you stand up and say you agree with Putin. You like Vladimir Putin's stance, and you like the way he handled Obama and backed him down a little bit. Can you be fired for that?
I think you can, and I'll tell you why. It's different from the caller who called earlier, and you asked him a pretty similar question about if, can I not hire a black person or a Muslim? Those things are protected by other rights. Mm-hmm. Being black or being Hispanic or things like that. Those are equal protection rights. Those are due process rights.
Okay, how about, all right, fair enough, you're right, I'm sure. How about something beyond that then? Let's say something that's not Muslim or black. Let's just say something that's more of a choice. Like, being communist or being, or say even just standing up and being very, very pro-gay and you're not gay. What if you're a member of a pro-gay organization and that violates the morality of the person who is hiring you?
That's a bit of a stickier situation because those kinds of things, those rights are becoming more like ethnicity or race.
But isn't that a free speech? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the intent of free speech, and again, I know with the Constitution, and there are certain things I'm sure they didn't see coming, is not just to silence you because you're a member of a group or you believe in an ideology that offends your employer.
Well, I agree with you as to the concept. However, the problem with that is that it's the Constitution being designed to be a limit on government power. The answer to unpopular speech is supposed to be more speech, right?
Okay. I believe you. I don't know if that's true, but okay, that makes sense to me.
Well, no, I mean that's one of the things that I think it was Jefferson who said that. The
said,
remedy
hey,
to,
gotta get some new rules pronto.
Right.
We'll just be bogus too. That's what Jefferson said.
Okay,
we all know that.
I mean,
let's have some pizza.
When you're talking about that kind of stuff, it becomes a different situation. But frankly, you can do what you want in your personal life, and you can say what you want. But when it comes to affecting other people in their exercise of their rights, it becomes a stickier situation. Nothing about this stuff is black and white except the things on the edges.
Agreed.
Right.
We need cooler bosses is what we need. Bosses
People that
that
aren't
could chill out a little bit.
Buckle under to all this bullshit fucking mob mentality.
I think we need cooler citizens because the bosses are reacting.
Right.
But they're reacting.
They're always douchebags.
But you know what I'm saying? It's the citizens that stink.
Right.
It's the regular people who stink because they're the ones complaining and crying and fighting and bitching and moaning and then not standing up or not defending.
I think they always
Jimmy, I totally
sucked.
agree with you on that.
Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe you're right legally, dude. I'm not talking from a legal point of view. Obviously, I'm not an attorney. And I'm not a constitutional expert, but then I just think that we should admit how full of shit we are as a nation when we say we value diversity in thought and we value diversity of opinion and we protect it because we don't. And if that's how we are, then we should shut our fucking mouths about how other countries do business.
I hear what you're saying, but there's something
Of course you
to
do.
be said for the idea that
Microphone and a phone.
because we can't be perfect in everything, we can't be right in anything. I don't agree with that concept.
I know that, but it's a little more than not being perfect in anything. It's a consistent policy of talking out of both sides of our mouth as a society. Yeah, exactly. And then the middle has nothing coming out of it. It's a consistent, full of shit policy.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of it. We've been that way for a very long time, and we're no different now than we were 300 years ago. I mean, there are just, the laws are different. You can't be as obvious about it. But one group wants what they want and their rights, and another group wants what they want and their rights.
We're a bunch of tattletales.
A bunch of tattletales.
Tattletales.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think that, as a nation, we need to fucking grow a set.
All right, bro.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, lawyer.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, well, that sucked. to hear the Opie and Anthony Show 5 days a week live on satellite radio, online on your phone or tablet, or even on demand, go to SiriusXM.com. Also, interact with the Opie and Anthony Show on Twitter, @Opie Radio, @Anthony Cumia, and @Jim Norton.